Ahoy there. Hi, I'm Dave Landau, and welcome to Normal World.
I'm Quarterback Garrett. It's Wednesday. That's hump day, and there's Angela.
Hey.
Hey.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Hey, how you doing? You got the Kleenex there. What's that for?
To mind your business.
Okay.
I was
worried about you. I don't know if you had like a cold or something.
No, it's always been here.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't it there every day?
I'm just now noticing this.
Yeah.
I'm very unobservant.
That's good then.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I do observe? You guys down in the comments. I see you down there posting every time, giving us engagement, helping us somehow wrangle the algorithm. It's not working, but we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being down there and hitting that like button.
Yes. Why don't you tongue punch that like button, folks? Right there. Look at that. Did you see it? Show it again.
Do it again.
Show it again.
Show it again. It's fresh.
This is what we're spending money on. Oh, tongue punching the like button. Subscribe. Bell. From what I understand, the bell doesn't work for a lot of people.
Most things on YouTube don't work.
Yeah.
So we hit the buttons. We pull all the levers that they ask us to. So we appreciate that you do it too.
Yes, we thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And I hear you have a nerd gathering coming up.
I have a little nerd gathering on the weekend at the Dallas Fan Expo. I do remember the location this time, so you don't have to put up the graphic, but it would be nice if you did put up the graphic. It is the Boozy Bird. It's Eric July's throwing a little shindig with Nerdrotic and the Geeks and Gamers guys, and we're going to come hang out. So you can get the RSVP at his website and come hang out. It's going to be fun. I think there's like 5 slots left. So
That's good.
Grab them. It's going to be fun.
5.
Dave, where can people see you?
Well, just announced Friday, October 25th, Comedy for a Cause 33 at Toms River North High School in Toms River, New Jersey. You can come out to that show, and all the proceeds will go to families that for gifts, food, those sort of things. And also, you can see me June 14th and 15th, Summit City Comedy Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana, as well as Poughkeepsie, New York. June 21, 22, and then I got Tulsa, Milwaukee, Omaha, Tampa, blah, blah, blah. Go to davelandau.com, buy a ticket.
Hey, I learned that yesterday we were talking about the 10-cent 10-cent beer night.
Yes.
Baseball game. It was the anniversary of it when I brought it up. It was in Cleveland.
That's correct.
Wild.
Yeah.
You guys
and
in
it was
the chat
Rangers.
told us. And it was the Texas Rangers that were playing that night.
And that
throwing
was
some honky tonk.
That was the bloodbath.
Yeah, it's great. I'm gonna get a T-shirt. I need a T-shirt of this whole thing, like a commemorative.
You do.
What was that? 40 years ago? 40, 50 years? It's 40.
No, 40.
Yeah.
It'd be
No,
40.
70. What is that?
Maybe 15.
That's like 48. I can't do math. Don't ask me to do math.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
Hey, we have a really great couple guests today. I've been following this guy forever. Internet legend, Lou Perez.
Hold up his book.
I gotta hold the book up.
You gotta get his book. Buy his book.
Yo, buy this book.
Buy his book.
Say zoom in, but you can't zoom in. You gotta zoom in with your eyes. Look at that.
It's The Joke Isn't Funny Anymore. And he also has Comedy is Murder and Free the People available. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Dude, thanks for coming on.
And also from tons of movies like Mission Impossible movies and such, and Transformers.
And the Transformers.
And coming out, though,
Rambo.
at Rambo, and my favorite Rambo.
Dude, that one's rad. So
And coming out soon, Protocol 7. Please welcome to the show, Matthew Marsden.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
thank you, Matt.
Good to have everyone back. How are you guys?
Great. Thank you. Yeah. Good to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you came back.
Yeah.
It's good. Most don't.
Yeah,
So,
no,
yeah,
it's strange.
They do. It's nice.
They feel uncomfortable after the show. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. And thank you for coming in from Jersey. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes. You're welcome.
Thank you. Was it good to get out of Jersey?
It was great to get out of Jersey into Dallas steam.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
That just forces me to stay either in a hotel or whatever hangar we're in right now.
Yeah, it's grossly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I want those kind of ET tubes that they had that we could just take us from our houses into our cars and we never have to go outside at all. That'd be the best.
That's a good idea.
It's like swimming.
That will give you no sunlight.
Yeah. Well, no, they're
kill you. Are
clear. You seen
they?
the film? They're clear.
I haven't seen it in a while. I'm just glad
that's a
that they
heartwarming
replaced the
tale.
guns with walkie-talkies.
They did do that.
Thank God. Well, speaking of which, we can go into that story first. Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
You
sharpshooter.
guys have heard of Alec Baldwin, right?
Who?
His name is he's the lesser known of his brothers. There's Daniel, William, Stephen,
Federico.
Frederico
Baldwin.
Horatio Baldwin. Jiminy Baldwin, and then Alec Baldwin.
Yes.
You may know him from several movies, including the one where he allegedly purposely shot a woman in the face.
Yes, with his finger.
Yes.
Was his finger that
Purposely.
did it.
Obviously.
You did say allegedly, so you could say whatever you want after.
Well, that's why I
allegedly.
said allegedly, so then I could say that he murdered her on purpose. But we know that he allegedly didn't.
Right.
Oh.
We're leading up to his final trial, right? Because they
Yes.
just had the armorer. They finished that out. She got convicted and whatnot.
Well, we're leading up to him getting off.
Right.
And that'll be fun. And I'm sure he'll
interesting.
still punch a photographer. But on Tuesday, the TLC network
about
announced that they will be doing a reality show with Alec and I hate her.
Hilaria.
Hilaria Baldwin, the fake Spanish woman who
Didn't
cooks
know
with her
about this.
feet.
I didn't know about this. Yeah. They informed me before the show about this lady. I didn't know she existed.
You didn't know his wife?
No, but she's from
Spain,
Jersey.
New
No.
Jersey.
Yeah.
She's going so hard on trying to like pretend that she's Latina that she's having 7 kids.
Yes.
So she's really just in the role.
Yes, it's the only
Dedicated
authentic
method.
thing about her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dedicated.
that and she wants an El Camino for Christmas.
Hey.
I'm not knocking them. That's every horn.
And you can carry stuff and look rad at the same time.
Oh, yeah. That's what El Caminos are about.
Oh, yeah.
Looking cool and getting puss.
That's right, baby. It's
Anyway.
the mullet of cars.
It is a mullet of cars. So you've been on, let's talk about this. The TLC docuseries The Baldwins is set to air in 2025. It will follow the family of 9, as you just said.
And counting. And counting.
Lord. Yeah, it's like that. What was that show that went sideways, like all the families where it just turns, they had like 13 children?
Yeah, 13 and counting.
No, 13 and counting, right.
There's
and
been
yeah.
a bunch.
That was a different.
Yeah, then like half of them were having sex.
Yeah.
with
Oh, you're
Hitler?
talking about the Duggars.
Oh, it was the Duggars. Yeah, it was. I knew it was one family with a lot of people that turned out to all be creeps.
Yeah, there was the other one, right, where with the guy that turned out to be, I think that's the one you're thinking about, right? The guy that was the creep, the dad that was like, was he?
Like a sister wives thing where he had a
No,
bunch
there's 2 of them. There was the Duggars, which are,
Oh, John and Kate plus 8.
that's it. That's
That's
the one
what it
you're
was.
thinking
I
of.
thought Kate. Hey, wait! I thought Kate was the one that was crazy.
They're both.
I think they're
No,
both mental.
John started wearing a lot of Ed Hardy, and America was like, we don't want this anymore.
Wait, are you guys thinking of Little People, Big World? With the
That one, that one's very similar.
with the creepy dwarves?
Yeah.
But they're creepy not in a sexual way, just
No.
they're just creepy.
No, they're just hard to look at
small hands.
because of the way they were born.
Yeah.
I understand.
What are they going to name this reality show? Home on the Range.
I,
Oh,
Creatively, it's called the Baldwins. But what would you
Oh.
guys name it?
I like that one.
Yeah, Home on the Range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Backdraft. Even though his brother's in it.
Point blank.
Is the whole goal like
Coffee is for killers.
daddy's keeping a secret and eventually the kids are going to find out what's going on?
Yeah.
And he's got to recruit half of them on his side, or they've got to, deal with the other ones.
Mom's making tacos with her feet because she's stupid.
Alec gets off.
caliente. I can't believe. So what is this? ABC or NBC or who's
no,
doing
baby,
this?
you know it's
who-
TLC.
TLC, the
TLC.
learning channel, where they've had morbidly obese people, 600-pound life. It's where they've had.
You want a motivational show?
It's where you met Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah.
It's the network that brings people to an early grave. The Learning Channel.
I'm gonna be real.
Hoarders.
Genius.
Isn't Hoarders on TLC?
I think so.
Well, in this case, the Baldwins are hoarding children. Just more and more. You're just going to find piles of them.
like open up the cupboard and they'll fall out, like plushies.
I can't get rid of them. They're just too sentimental.
You got to throw some of them out. Or it's going to be someone in a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
You have to throw some of them out.
Yes, you can have all.
Take them down to Goodwill.
Part
Yeah.
of being born
Load
in
up the truck.
Spain is one of the babies die. Too much? All right.
Ma'am. You're from Jersey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I lived in Harlem for a bit. I would call that the Spain of New York.
Lou?
Is it-
Congo. That's the Congo.
Lou Perez?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
Fan?
Yes.
Spain of New York.
Well, what ethnicity would you be?
Oh, my dad's from Argentina,
Okay.
so I'm conveniently Latino.
Gotcha.
Oh, he's
So they got
just enough.
Argentina.
Yeah.
You got that.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Hey, my buddy
That's like me.
Sebastian's like that. Yeah, just enough to claim it.
Just enough.
Just enough to get some scholarships.
Yes, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get your debt erased by Joe Biden just so you can get his vote. And then, I assume you're white?
I'm not white. Don't miscolor me, whatever it is. No, I'm clearly a black woman.
That's what I thought.
What are you, Danish here? Or come from?
She eats a lot of Danishes.
Ah.
Anyway, so yeah, we were talking about though if he is on. You've been on the set with a lot of guns.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
So you're on a set with a lot of guns. You don't think he's guilty, do you?
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's just not. I mean, look, as much as people hate him, this is just what happens on. That's not what happens on set. Let me just.
It just happens all the
clarify
time.
that.
It's
Just
not
happens all the
hopping
time.
around.
No, but when you, especially when you're doing a big movie, I mean, you can't go through and check every bullet in the magazine. You know, you'd have to like go through each one and load it again, and especially when you're doing big set pieces, you just can't do it. So what they'll do is they'll come up to you. If let's say you got an AR, they'll come up and they'll actually, the armorers will put the magazine in and rack it and say, "Do not touch until we go," and they'll do that like right immediately before the take. So he's
You couldn't
just
slip
not.
in a bullet, you know? You couldn't like...
Well, you could.
Well, but what are you looking like? What are you looking for the people out there who don't know about like guns and bullets? Like, what does a safe bullet look like?
It's crimped at the end. Like it's literally like someone's got a crimper and they go.
What is a
Actually,
crimper?
there's no actual bullet. So that you have just the casing, and the casing will be crimped in the end.
Crimped at the end, and it
Have
you know,
gunpowder in it.
Yeah, and so it's like half loads, what they call half loads, quarter loads, or whatever, and that you have to have that to cycle the weapon. And a lot of the times, so with the ARs that are used, they'll be welded at the front, so nothing's coming out of them.
Yeah, they're plugged.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of those where they're corked.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they just completely use those.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
You do use real ones as well. I mean, the Barrett I had in Rambo was a real one.
Yeah.
I imagine Stallone shows up and is like, "These are not fake guns."
Yeah,
Yeah, watch.
it's like shoot them for real.
yeah, there's a reason why we're filming in this part of the world.
I had an argument on that though. Like, I can see your point there. It's like he's an actor. He's there to be to be the actor. He's thinking of his lines. He's thinking of the scene. But he is also the executive producer, right?
That's a different question.
So it should be under his purview and his responsibility to take on. Like, he hired the armorer. He hired all the other producers to tell the armorer what to do. So that's what I think. That's where it comes down to.
Yeah, there is responsibilities, or there are responsibilities as a producer. But I think, I mean, what I'm talking about is purely as the actor, because you could never do it. And I've done that 1,000 times, like pointed the gun at someone. I don't like doing it, but normally it's all right. And so, for example, with this, I knew immediately what had happened when they said that the director and the camera woman had been shot, because I knew that they were probably moving shots. So the director was right next to camera and the gun was probably pointed right next to camera. You know,
Yeah.
we've all seen those cool shots, right? Where you kind of go, where they go like that and it's just to the side of the camera. And I presume that's what they were doing. And unfortunately it was a live round, and I think it was a 45.
But didn't he come out and say that he wasn't responsible for it at all? Like the gun just kind of went off.
Yeah, he said that he didn't pull the trigger.
So I mean, that I think that's sort of trying to add like another level of deniability. You know?
Yeah, where you're like, "Look, I was pointing it at them,
Right.
and it was a shooting scene, but it wasn't me."
Yeah.
They're like, "Well, could we get to the bottom of it?" Like maybe it's not your fault.
Brandon Herrera did a great video where he, like, right when that all happened, he's a gun YouTuber. He just ran for Senate, right? Lost by 1 point, dude. Vote for Brandon Herrera next time. But he did a great breakdown of, he was like, this is the gun that he used. There is no way that this gun could have gone off without pulling the trigger. Like, he went through all the mechanics of it, the hammer, like, it just will not go off without you pulling a trigger. So it happened.
Yeah.
Just the mechanics of the gun, it happened. So just like lying off the bat just to try and snake your way out is just the wrong play. It's just optically looks so bad.
Well, I think too, from like a PR perspective, like, you know, like you said, like saying it's not his fault. He seems not to like want to take any responsibility, and it's actually going the other route. Like, instead of like saying like, I know it wasn't my fault, but I mourn for the loss of life. He's like, TLC, what's up? Let's get a show right now.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
That's
there's
not a
another
good
side of me you guys don't know about, and now I'm gonna put,
Slimy.
yeah.
Can you imagine? It's me behind closed doors where I'm really hurting my kids' feelings. It's
You
going to
can
be
see
great.
it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I feel like he can't get work now, and this is kind of a result of that.
Oh, I think it's a large. I mean, you don't want to put him in any more action movies, I'm sure.
It's dangerous.
Although I did hear that. Oh yeah, he wouldn't have been up for it because they are remaking The Crow, and I feel.
Him off the set.
Did you see that? Can you imagine getting offered that role and you're just like, you know what? No.
Yeah,
I feel
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. No.
I feel like that went awry back in '94.
Yeah.
Did you see the trailer for the new Crow?
I did see it.
It's not. No.
It's not The Crow.
No,
It doesn't look like The Crow.
It looks like a My Chemical Romance video.
It does. It does.
It's unacceptable.
But yeah, it's not The Crow. That's the main problem.
It's like a romantic. Like I understand there was an element of that in the first one.
That's why he comes back.
But the first one they had Devil's Night,
Yeah.
and then it was like they killed him, and this
It's
one.
like you can't fill those boots, you know? You can't fill those knee-high boots.
No, you can't. He looked wonderful in the first movie. It's a great way to go out.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry. The camera just stays on me. It's all my fault. Look, I think it's sad what happened to Brandon Lee. I've said that.
Dude, he was a legend. He was on the way up.
I had the Crow soundtrack.
Soundtrack's fantastic.
Dude, it
Yeah,
is.
it's a great soundtrack.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When they used to have good soundtracks for films, and they don't do that anymore now.
Remember when you would rush out to get the soundtrack?
Yeah.
And every, oh man.
The
Like,
soundtrack to Batman and Robin, the horrible Batman movie, has it's a great soundtrack.
It's got
lot of
Kiss
good
from a Rose, right?
That was
that was
Batman
Forever.
That was Batman Forever.
But
That
that
was
one
Forever.
had Smashing Pumpkins on it, and like the Flaming Lips were on that one.
You too, I think, is on it.
U2 was on, the second one. He was. I think they were also on Batman Forever. But
Call Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me.
Kill Me, Thrill
that's
Me.
Forever.
Great song.
That's Forever. Yeah,
Great song.
that blew up Seal's career is off of that
Yeah.
album.
yeah, the
And
music.
it was at the end.
yeah, they
It
don't
was
do
at
that
the end
ever.
of the movie in the credits.
Yeah, they called him up and he was like ready to quit singing, and they were like, "Hey, can we use this song in this comic book movie?" And he was like, "Sure, I guess." And then they just,
He was ready to climb back into his tank at the zoo.
yeah, that's right.
Forever.
where he got scarred escaping. Horribly scarred.
Horribly
Yeah. They had like Days of Confused was a double disc.
Dude,
We had,
that was such a good album.
Judgment Night that was better than the movie, even though I do like the movie for fun.
In Judgment Night, they brought together rap and rock. On
Oh,
all
yeah.
the tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, they had like Atari Teenage Riot. Yeah, they had all this stuff on there that was just kind of new and cool.
What happened to that, dude?
You don't care anymore.
And it seems like a lot of movies now use needle drops. You know, I think the last time a movie came out that had a good soundtrack like that was a needle drop soundtrack was Guardians of the Galaxy. Because like every one of
was
those
a good
movies is
soundtrack.
such a musically centered movie. So they came out with it was a pretty good soundtrack, but that's just because it's great old music.
Yeah, I'm probably alone on how much I hate those movies. I like the first one enough, but I do love the soundtrack, so I'll watch them. But I just don't care. You have Bradley Cooper, and I understand you're a raccoon, but you have a Brooklyn accent.
Listen, I've never understood the whole thing about getting celebrities and big names to do animation.
Dude, I don't get it at all.
Why would you do that? Why would you? I mean, I guess you could say it's different with Tom Hanks and Woody, but like, why would you want to pay him like $20 million to play a cowboy in a? I don't understand that. Same with I am Groot.
Yeah.
I am Groot. I'm like, how much are you paying Vin Diesel to do that?
Yeah, he said
Did it in every other language on Earth.
He said one thing and you looped it. That was it. Could have been anyone, and the movie would have made the same amount of money.
Technically, he had two lines. He said, "I am Groot," and also, "We are Groot."
And at
The range on this guy.
like Toy Story at the time, it was brand new animation with Pixar, and then you had Tim Allen, who had the #1 TV show, #1 book, and and then you had also Tom Hanks. So it's like people knew the
Peak of their
voices; they
careers.
wanted to see it.
And at that
You
time
could have
in
done
the
it without
90s,
that, though. I mean, they would have seen that movie without those two guys in it. And think how much more. I mean, when you get to that point, they make so much money anyway on the films. But if you look at that, you'd be like, that had to be $40 million gone.
Yeah, easily.
Oh yeah,
In that time, it was mostly actual voice actors that were doing those roles, like Aladdin and like all the animated movies back then were all just voice actors doing that. And then I think Toy Story was the first one that started doing that trend, because then you had Shrek, that had
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers, and they had
Well, I mean,
Eddie
even
Murphy.
Aladdin had.
They had the
Robin
one.
Williams.
They had the one, right? Yeah, and I think
was a
it was
big
like
draw.
a taste of
That would
like,
draw.
oh, we
That drew
start to-
well.
That
yeah.
makes sense to me because he's.
And then I guess Gilbert Godfrey, right? But that's such a specific
Right.
voice.
That
Like
was
that's
so
his
funny.
voice character. Yeah.
That I get. Yeah, and then you have that makes perfect
Now
sense.
the trailers come out. For
Yeah,
a
but you
kids
have
movie,
Bradley
and it's just
Cooper
like-
doing an unrecognizable voice. What are you paying him for?
and it's not a good.
No, it's not. It's not.
literally like his first take at a.
It's one of the many
At a
reasons
Brooklyn.
I don't like the movies.
I like the first one. I like the first one.
I
And
did
the third
too.
one was all right, and there were some parts.
And
in
his
the
Leo
second one.
Bernstein is just awful. I mean, that accent, is just terrible.
Cancel.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care for it.
It's like I like the music.
Yeah, when you had what was the movie? You just referenced it before. Whatever. We can move on. There was another, but it was another huge movie for them that it made sense that you would hire big actors.
Shrek.
Shrek.
Yeah,
'Cause
and then Ice Age as
who's
well.
gonna play an Eddie Murphy character better than Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
You're not gonna get somebody like that. That makes sense. But then the rest of it, well, actually, you know what they did? Actually, they got Dean Edwards. You know Dean, don't you?
Oh, the comedian?
Yeah. Dean just did all the straight to DVD once because
Really?
he can do
Wow.
a perfect Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So I guess you're right.
What's going to happen?
See?
Well, I know AI is the big elephant in the
Yeah.
AI elephant in the room that
the
people are worried
simulation.
about. Yeah. So I mean, if you could just, especially if like an actor's dead, like if you have like Marlon Brando doing Woody, you know, that's possible.
yeah.
Now, right?
Have you seen the new pictures of Billy Zane playing Marlon Brando?
Dude, it's uncanny.
And it looks
It's
amazing.
freaking crazy.
And you're like, Billy Zane.
like, damn.
But I think it's going to be amazing.
Not the
Yeah, he
shadow.
looks
the,
great.
The
He
Phantom.
looks identical to Brando, which is it's got to be a lot of fluctuating to go through that movie where it's like in the beginning you're a stud, and by the end you're literally paying a kid to throw you Burger King over a fence.
And you have your own show on TLC.
That's the arc.
It's just called The Brandos. It's just a guy alone in his house.
Yeah, you look at Brando when he was younger. I mean, he was an absolute stud. He was a brilliant actor. I mean, if you've ever read his book, have you guys read his book? Oh, it's amazing. Like women would like turn up. He had this one thing where a woman knocked on his door. He opened the door, and it was this gorgeous girl, and she said, "I just want to wash your feet and dry it with my hair."
That sounds
We all get that. That's Dave's.
That sounds like a Brando ad lib.
Oh yeah, just
I
every
want you
day.
to, I want you to wash my
believe this
feet.
story.
Tie with your hair.
Total Brando.
What was his name again?
Marlon Brando.
No, the person that showed up.
There's some woman.
Yeah, just some lady.
Woman.
Yeah, a woman turned up, and then he goes, "Of course." In the book, he goes, "Of course, I slept with her."
He just yeah.
He's like,
Back then,
Would've been
when
canceled
men were
so
men
hard.
and women would wash your feet with their hair.
I love his outtake footage because they're like he was so into the character, and I'm like, I think he was lazy. Like, and he's discussed this.
Like the island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, but you watch like
yeah.
old like Dick Cavett stuff, and he explains acting brilliantly.
Yeah.
And he talks about how he loves the cue cards because it looks like he's searching for a thought. It's like, no, it's not. You didn't want to read your line. Like you
you know,
have,
I've had that on set, and it is completely just the guys just can't be bothered. They come in and they just. I actually the Bruce Willis movie I did, but that was for other reasons. He had a earpiece in the whole time, and it was really distracting because you'd have a guy like just round the corner, and you'd hear the lines,
like-
and then you'd hear him. It would go in his ear, and then he wouldn't say the lines. Which was really, and you're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to respond to this, you know?
It's like, couldn't you get a guy who does Bruce Willis to just do his voice? You know?
Yeah,
at that
on
point,
TikTok.
yeah, and just kind of show just his eyes.
Well, you know what they do in those movies. As he was coming towards the end of his career, they would have him come in and they just shoot him for 2 days. So you get all of his stuff, and then you go back, and there was a guy that looked just like him, and you'd act towards that guy, and they get all your coverage.
You know, I saw Bruce Willis on Broadway. He did Misery. They took the Stephen King book
that's
that
awesome.
became a movie and then became a Broadway play, and he was so bad in it. He was terrible. And I remember hearing like people talking like, "Oh, he has an earpiece," and I'm like, man, he still sucks. And I mean, there's a live theater,
Right.
of all these people, and like, he's like an actor. Oh, I want to do Broadway. So you want to do Broadway, and you want to do a remake of Misery?
Yeah, that's kind of an odd choice.
yeah.
Who played the Kathy Bates character?
Laurie Metcalf.
Okay.
She was
I
phenomenal.
bet she was great. Yeah.
It could have just been her. Like it
just
just been
laying
just like
in
a
a
one
bed.
woman show. Yeah.
Yeah. I love. There's actually a picture of Brando on the Godfather set where it's Robert Duvall standing, and he has like every line possible.
Is that right?
Dude, it is down to his feet. It's
Are you serious?
hysterical. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw the show on Paramount where they went into the making of. It's certainly through Alan, what's his name, Rudy, or I think I got to think of the name of the producer, but through his point of view, because he kind of saves it and makes the movie. But it is very fascinating how it got made, because they went to Brando, whose movies were flopping, and it's basically like, "Do you want to make this movie? Did you like my book?" You know, Mario Puzo's all excited, and he's like, "No, Frank Sinatra just didn't like me singing one of his songs in Guys and Dolls, and I hear that he hates the idea of this movie being made, so I'd like to make it."
Just out of spite.
Yeah, he just did that out of spite. And then when he looked younger too. He was younger.
Yeah, they made
Then he
aged him
threw
up.
the tissue in his cheek, slicked his hair back, and then came out as the character. And they were like, "Okay,
Yeah.
and, and he's amazing in it.
He's amazing.
Starts petting a cat.
But I think he was a guy who was so talented and so unaware of the ability he actually had that he considered it nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what was so. I think that was a sad thing about him, because he just never. I can only imagine if he cared.
Right.
Yeah.
He was really amazing. I mean, people forget that he was the first one that would come on your dad, like, and he'd mumble, right? He'd mumble away. And by the way, that cat, do you know that cat just like came in randomly and picked it up, and then they were like, shoot.
It's like, roll. It was just on the set.
It was just on the set.
It was like iconic.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And he just kind of kept holding it, and they're like, "I guess Brando has a cat."
All right, just keep
Got a
going.
cat now.
But no, I mean, he's, because I remember when I first watched his early stuff, and I was like, "Oh my God, who is this guy?"
Well, On the Waterfront is remarkable. And so anybody who talks about how like old movies aren't as good, it's like that movie holds up today. It's
watch that movie.
Masterpiece.
He's amazing. He's, but again, it's a testament to what can happen to you when you are young, super famous, super good looking, super rich, right? Back then, I mean, like you said, can you imagine what it would have been like for him to be around now?
Yeah.
I mean, it
would have been done.
Well, he raped
James
a woman
Dean.
with butter.
They let you.
Well, there was an ad lib in a movie, and she was 13.
Well, okay.
What's
Which
wrong
is-
with improv?
Might be.
Yeah, it's a little improv.
Just a little bit of a game.
Come on. All right, I need a location, some butter, and a child. Last Tango in Paris.
What year was that?
70.
So not a lot of like.
Is it Bernardo
laws.
Bertolucci, I think, directed that?
Wow.
Yeah, that was, when he puts the butter in her, apparently years later, she's like, "Yeah, I wasn't."
72.
Is it soft?
72?
It's like a hard stick of cold butter.
It's a stick of butter, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's a porn.
Okay.
I mean, we can pretend there's art behind it.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
After that, Brando was putting butter on everything.
Yeah.
That's why he gained so much weight. His butter phase just continued.
Diet.
Yeah, and that's why, look, if you're going to be out there eating all kinds of butter like Brando and just covering it up with everything, you want to save some, you want to eat well.
Yeah.
Instead, try Magic Spoon.
Dude, try a Magic Spoon in the morning. You get a little Magic Spoon, put some skim milk in there. You don't get the calories or none of that stuff.
Talk about the nostalgia of eating childhood cereals, and an odd thing to pivot to after what we just discussed. Magic Spoon has reinvented your favorite childhood cereals to taste great, but each serving contains 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14, again, ironic number, grams of protein, and
Where's that
4 to
protein
5
come from?
grams of net carbs per serving. Matt, I'm not laughing at that because I love the food.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a delightful dish, and
Can snack on it?
it's chewy, delicious. You can make the treats, and they have flavors. They got marshmallow,
They got cinnamon.
they got chocolate,
They got frosted.
chocolatey peanut butter.
Another chocolate.
They got double chocolate.
Dang, dude.
Look at all that, and they're just like the marshmallow treats you had as a kid. Except you know what?
What?
1 gram of sugar, 2 grams of net carbs.
Impossible.
Yep. Talk about convenience, son.
Talk about magic.
That's really what it's about. Magic Spoon, and there's no butter.
No
And
butter.
you just head to magicspoon.com/normal to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try the Magic Spoon for yourself. Try it.
Try it.
Try it.
Hey.
And don't forget to add their tasty treats to your tasty diet.
Tasty meats.
Magicspoon.com/normal. Give it a whirl. Enjoy some cereal. It's good for you. Thanks, you want to do
Thanks,
that?
Magic Spoon.
There you go. Into the mic. Thanks, Magic
Well, that was
Spoon.
perfect. That'll pivot us right into Black Panther's Love Trump. Did you guys know that?
I think it's
Oh,
one.
yeah. This is
let's
crazy.
be clear that it is one.
I misread that. That's my Black Panther. Loves.
Although I don't know how.
OG Black
I don't know
Panther,
how
though.
active they are.
Are they not? No,
He's
they
a
are.
former leader.
They are. For
Yeah.
sure.
This guy.
Huh? I'm sure they're still out there. Huey's dead.
Yeah. So David Hillard was one of the OG founders of Black Panthers. He actually did a TikTok talking about how he respected Trump and he knew him back in the day, and he's a friend of the black community. But then, do we have that clip?
Well, here's the interesting thing. When I went to pull the clip today, it has been taken off of TikTok.
Oh,
It's kind
Are
of
you
interesting.
serious?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Because when we wanted to do the show, we thought we had the clip.
yeah.
You could run through it if you want, act it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, David.
Yes, Mr. I'm the black guy in
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
That makes sense.
It's David. His name's David.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of Donald J. Trump?
I like him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you like his policies?
I do.
What about that time he said grab him by the pussy?
I grab a lot of people by the pussy.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Scene.
Bitches delight.
Can I just go like this?
Oh, please. Yeah. Oh, please.
Thank you.
Some notes.
No notes. No notes. We'll run it again later with more feeling.
Well, he said that he knew Trump when he was knew the Republican candidate for president when Trump was a college student in the 1960s. So they bumped into each other. So he must know a little bit about his character.
Really?
I have no idea.
Swinging in the same circles.
He's like, I remember him. I called him an Ofe cracker.
Yeah.
I remember he walked by.
That turkey right there. That's right there.
Oh yeah, he's
he's
the one that didn't smoke weed, so he kept blowing it in his face till he left the party.
He's like, yo, honky. He's cool. He's dude.
Yeah.
But his nephew came out and said, hey, he did not know anything. He basically
It's actually,
said,
no,
he
it's
doesn't
his
know.
grandson.
His grandson,
Yeah.
okay. So he's like, my old grandpa don't know anything. He didn't know what he was doing.
And did you? I mean, it looks
really
like
not
a
know?
hostage video. Have you seen it? The guys there, the grandpa's in the back, and he's like,
Yeah. So that's why they removed it.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, they rolled up on him.
I just love the idea, my grandfather used to, be a part of an organization that would have shootouts with cops and rob banks. And, we were allies with, Fidel Castro and all that. But liking Trump, it's a bridge too far.
That's
Right.
It's a little.
We have a line. We have a line we don't cross.
Yeah, that's when they step up. They're like, look, yes, they probably killed people.
Yeah.
Sure.
He didn't know anything about
The
it.
Nation of Islam was a friend.
Yeah, he would
That's
not
the other nation.
anyway agree with Donald Trump on anything.
Probably not back in the 60s. No, I would imagine that they weren't having a conversation of agreement at
I
similar
don't think
parties.
they ever had a conversation. I'm
I would assume,
doubting this.
I kind of get where the nephew's coming from, where he's like, Grandpa is unaware that he's just been watching Fox News on a loop.
Dude. He watched Home Alone 2 too many times. He thought it happened. It didn't happen. Grandpa.
Well, the grandpa said that he knew him from the 60s in New York, where he comes from, and he's a friend to African Americans. He's a decent man. He's not a racist, fascist white man. He supported black people in the
true.
60s.
I mean,
and he gave him money. He gave him money. He said so. That's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it?
Yes.
Wait, he gave him
Gave
money.
the Black Panthers money. You're kind of like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
hang on a minute.
Well,
That's what it says in the article, right? I think I saw the video earlier on.
Well, he has given them money in the past, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least they were quiet about it till now, unlike some people.
Gonna be only-
And they didn't even sign anything. They were just like, thank you. We'll put this to
Yeah.
good use. Buying bullets to kill white people.
Alec Baldwin?
No. What? Are we
you guys
confused on
doing?
the Black
How are you guys
Panthers? Okay, I don't know.
I was like,
I thought
Wakanda
it was-
forever.
Yeah, I think a great person that would be in that movie, Michael Richards.
Michael Richards would, yeah.
Yes.
So the excuse to kill someone?
Yeah. No, he's the villain.
Yeah, it's been
Obviously.
18 years since Michael Richards was on The View the other day. Let's just say what it is. I turned it on and I was like, what is happening?
Is he doing like a comeback tour?
He's doing a press tour. He was on The View about, Michael Richards, 18 years after the Michael Richards racial outburst ended his career. The Seinfeld star sat down with Today host, I don't even know how to pronounce that, Hoda Kotb.
Oh yeah,
Copy.
I got
Copy.
stuck on that one too.
Hoda copy.
I don't watch that show.
Hoda copy.
To talk
copy?
about to talk about his memoir, Entrances and Exits, which is a fun play on how he would walk into an apartment and how he walked out of his career screaming the N-word at hecklers.
Yeah, this is cyclical.
Whose career doesn't in that way, though? I
Well,
mean,
many do, and which it came out yesterday, and it's a reflection on his past behavior. Richards explained how he was changed since the night he used the racial slurs during a set at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, where he chose to exile himself from the industry. He said, "I'm probably more aware of myself. Anger had a hold of me. I canceled myself out. Take an exodus, got away from show business, and saw what the heck was going on inside of me to have such a despicable night, losing my cool and hurting people."
Well, hey, if he actually did that, then that's cool. If he understood that he's got anger problems.
Yeah,
And also, to be fair, that former Black Panther came out in support of Richards too.
Yeah.
He's like, he was a good man. He likes black people.
Back in the 60s.
I believe
18
they
years,
attended
though.
grad school together.
Yeah.
Yes.
At Comedy U.
18 years ago, for that to have that feels like yesterday.
It does. I was thinking
does.
that's just. I was like, oh, he's looking a little bit old there, and then it's like 18 years. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm 51. That's
Yeah.
rough.
How old is he? He's got to be in his
300.
70s or something.
Yeah.
God,
And
I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
74.
Is it the English Sun? It helps you look young.
How
Is
old
that-
is it? 64?
English Sun, where you can't.
Yeah, the
74.
English son. Yeah. Good grief. I'm like, but that was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
It was 3 minutes ago for me.
Yeah, I remember it very well because he was a dick to me, and then 3 weeks later it happened. And
Is that right?
Oh yeah. And
So can we know? Can you tell us?
I've talked about it, but yeah, like long story short, he was an asshole to me because I was trying to get his intro to go on stage, and he was doing push-ups in the back, like any comic would do before going up. And I just said, hey, can I please get your intro? I'm a big fan. And he's like, I don't do that. And he goes, I go to shake his hand. He goes, I don't do that. And I was like, okay. Can I get your intro? And he goes, what the fuck do you think my intro should be? And I was like, Seinfeld. And he goes, are you saying I'm a wash-up? And I was like,
So all this stuff's just running.
trial?
anger.
Yeah,
It's
like-
a lot of anger.
Yeah, trial and error? Like, what do you want me to say, And so he's like, listen, when you go up, just say my name, get off the stage so I can just walk on, no handshake, whatever. So, yeah, long story short, I go up, I deliberately kill as hard as I can, and then I go, please welcome Michael Richards, and I just put my hand out, and I wait for him to have to come up and shake it. And then
That's
he did.
brilliant.
Oh, yeah, and he just did in like a dead fish way, and then proceeded to have the worst comedy set I've ever seen someone have for the next 6 minutes. And the crowd couldn't have been happier. That was the best part. Their expectations were so high because of who he was.
Yeah.
To be let down that much was a treat for me. And then I got on stage right after, and I was like, wasn't that great, everybody? Aren't we all happy Michael Richards stopped by?
Maybe you inspired his angry
Maybe.
outburst.
He was thinking about
well-
Dave Landau in his head.
That
This
guy.
is a guy who would park in handicapped and have him block off the spot for him. Like, he wasn't nice. So, I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have the right. I know plenty of people in show business that are complete dicks.
Oh, yeah.
But he was on like a different level. So, like, maybe I did. But then I ran up to shake his hand again, and he like patted me on the shoulder and I walked off. But it was hilarious. And I love, because I'm standing there too with people like, dude, Larry Miller was there. There's like in the green room, there's like Kevin Nealon, Dom. It's like an A room in Hollywood.
Yeah.
They're all very nice. And it's like the guy who I like from a show, but comedically don't really have the most respect for, is being a total dick for no reason, just because he can be.
Yeah.
So then a few weeks later, turn on the old TV and there's him getting canceled for screaming the N-word at the crowd. I was like,
We should make a list of all the people that have kind of pissed you off in the past and see
Yeah.
where they are. They've all lost their careers. One had a piano drop on them.
yeah, what's
The
you
one
ever
fell
met
out of a
Alec
plane.
Baldwin?
I've never met Alec Baldwin.
Oh.
I was a fan.
Oh.
Enough. I mean, as
Yeah,
much
I
as you
mean-
can. Like a fan from a distance. I don't think you want to meet him.
No.
You're like, I was out at a Denny's once, and like Alec Baldwin was next to me, and I asked him to pass the salt,
Yeah.
and he said no, and I was like, oh, You're on the list, buddy.
Yeah.
Giving you the juju to bed.
I remember Paul Walker told me I ain't shit.
Oh, that's cold.
But no,
I once told Brandon Lee, "Hey, break a leg."
every single one. Yeah. I remember on the set of The Twilight Zone.
I saw those two kids. I said, "You're going someplace. You got a big career ahead of you."
I told Vic Morrow that he was very rude to me at craft service, and I was fired from the film.
And I went to wrestling, and I saw Chris Benoit one time.
Yeah, well, yeah.
In the backstage.
He refused to sign an autograph for me right after Eddie Guerrero. Anyway, but no, but now, look, it's been 18 years, and
been a while.
personally, I didn't even like, it was hard for me to watch Seinfeld after, because it was like, it's one of those people you meet where, like, I loved you from UHF, and then I watched you every night with my dad, and now you're a prick. So it kind of sucks. But 18 years, I think, is a reasonable amount of time, especially for all the cancellations and everything that's happened. Like, yeah, what he did was horrible, and I think the problem largely was saying the N-word, but then describing the things that would have been done to him had it been 50 years prior. So it's not like you could just say, look, it was a flub.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Because you brought out pitchforks and lynching, and he's like, also flubs.
Those are my bad.
So, but I mean, at what point is it enough where everybody says horrible stuff sometimes, and we let it go, right?
Yeah.
Or no? What are your takes?
What do you think?
I thought it was interesting. You reminded me of that, because I remember hearing, I was like, damn, 18 years for like the N-word, that's terrible. But then the additional stuff, it's like the racist Kramer fan fiction, like things that he wanted to actually like carry out in a way, seemed to come out.
Right. And the hecklers were also built up to be victims, but it's like you did go into a club and act like an ass screaming at the stage.
Yeah.
So that was what triggered it, but of course, not necessary. I always like Jeff Garland's story of when he walked off stage and he's like, tough room tonight. And Jeff's like, do you know what you've done? Any idea what just happened? But
Hey.
I think that's a problem is he kept doubling down on it.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's living off of Seinfeld residuals.
What? Yeah, I really hope
I'll wear the sandwich board from Die Hard with a Vengeance if you give me Seinfeld residuals.
I hope he really learned a lesson. 18 years, he hasn't been around, you know?
Yeah, he ain't
Better
crying
himself.
into his, he's not crying into his French fries, is he? I mean, he's got a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's got
Is
a lot of money.
that a term? Crying into your French fries?
I just made it up.
Yeah, well, you could have gone with saying it was from your
Yeah,
country.
you could have just
I
said.
could have said like crying into your chips.
Your
And you'd have been like, "What are you talking about? we won the war."
We're like, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah. Okay. No, but you're right. I mean, I do think that people should be able to redeem themselves. I mean, you know, you can't punish someone forever, but I do think that certain things have consequences, right? Like if you show that kind of mean-spirited, like the way, I think it was what he said, but it was the way he said it as well that was so bad. Like, so people look at that and you're like, wow, you know, you have a lot of like.
And also the fact that it was Kramer, a person that everyone loved so much, to like kind of go, I'm not that guy. I'm not Kramer. I'm a real person. I think it put a lot of people in shock. Like we talked about a little bit before when he went up on, was it Letterman? Jerry Seinfeld came out and was like, hey, my good friend Michael Richards wants to apologize, and everybody started laughing.
Yeah, they thought it was
because they were like primed for Kramer to be funny or something because they didn't know yet. So it was a very awkward situation.
Yeah, because it wasn't. It's 06, so it's like, yeah, sure, the internet's there, but it's not everywhere all the time like this. So really, it hadn't made. Now.
So you're like, I'm going to tell everyone I did something wrong that they might not have even known about if I hadn't have said anything.
They're watching. Yeah, they're watching Michael Richards apologize for racial slurs.
And everyone's like,
Like this is a weird bit for Letterman, but all right.
He could have saved himself 18 years if he just didn't appear on that show.
Yeah, that's true.
Just lay low, you know.
Yeah, it was the first camera phone that caught him too.
I was going to ask. Yeah. What
and it was this big.
And they told you not to
flips
pull him out
out.
in the club. Do you think there is a thing now though where we're not even looking for the redemption story though? Like I feel like it's just wanting to destroy people. Like you have actual people that are supposedly your fans, And a lot of stuff they want to do is just take you down, destroy you, and it seems there's a large element of that. Like, I'd like to see a redemption story and a turnaround, but I also think that there's a lot of it's like when South Park did the Britney Spears episode, and which is just proven to be more true and more true, but how they just sacrifice somebody at least once a year in order to keep the entertainment business going.
Oh, well, they definitely do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I've said this multiple times, like about Harvey Weinstein. You know, they just got rid of him because he pissed so many people off that he was like, okay, time for him to go. You know, he's not the only one out there. So there's certainly an element to that. But I also think that there's a difference between if you are remotely conservative in any way, shape or form, that there's no redemption,
Right.
that they want you out. I mean, look, all you've got to do is say, oh, I'm going to vote for Trump, and then you are Satan and there's no coming back. But on the left, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
You really can, and they'll allow you back into the fold.
And you're forgiven for everything.
Everything.
And that's the part I don't understand. There is this this double-edged sword, you know, involving everything, where there's no equality in it. There's no, and I mean, not that there should be, except that's what the left says is they want equality.
Right.
But I don't think that we get the same forgiveness, especially from the people that are supposed to be liberal and which is supposed to be forgiving and understanding, and that's supposed to be allegedly that's what that is about. You know, there's that element of other people where I've never seen such a selfish group in my entire life than what that has mutated into.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of going away. Like it's hard to get canceled now because people just don't give a shit. Like they're just like, who cares? There's so many avenues for you to make your own money and your own stuff. And really right now is the best time to not go through that system, you know, and produce your own shit. Like you're making your own movies, and you're writing your own books and you're making your own sketches. Like you don't need that system that'll put you up in that point where it's like, you do what we say or we take everything from you. We don't need that anymore.
But I think we've taken a lot of quality out of stuff too. And I'm not saying that doesn't go for the other people, but somebody who's going to get, a book advance or actually writing something of substance getting pushed. You don't see that anymore because like even the idea of what they put out literary wise, I mean, you see it, go to any airport. It's just dog shit. Yeah. And it's just stuff that's being, it's agenda driven things that are being jammed down your throat. I mean, as an author, do you see that?
One thing that I hear a lot is in publishing is that there are a lot of authors who are just like turned away just because they're white guys. And I think that's been it's an open secret. I think people are kind of, always say like, oh, we hear too many stories from like straight white guys. So just,
Yeah.
But I do agree with Garrett. I think things are, coming around. Like even on the Trump thing, recently, Dennis Quaid came out and said that he's going to be voting for Trump. And it used to be crazy Randy Quaid was the conspiracy guy, Trump supporter. And now the good looking brother is coming out and he's dude's 70 and I don't know what he's taking. He looks amazing. And he has how old is his girlfriend now? I don't know.
25.
But he's feeling, comfortable coming out and saying it. So I think things are changing, definitely. And with the whole idea of forgiveness, I think for a while, a lot of people were looking for forgiveness from the wrong people. It's like the people who aren't going to forgive you, the people who are in it to shame and just to make you grovel. And then when you start saying, fuck you to them and just sticking with, the side that respects you, I think you'll have success there.
Yeah.
And I think Trey Parker, Matt Stone, Seth MacFarlane, there's certain people that have at least done that to where they've realized it the whole time. Like if I start, just apologizing now, it's never going to end. Mm-hmm. So it's like, just ignore it.
It'll never be enough.
And eventually they move on to somebody else. But yeah, I think, I agree that you're right. And I think it has to change. And I mean, I think that it is, but I'm curious. I don't know. I'm curious to what extent, because I think we are a culture that's lacking in critical thinking. Mm-hmm. And I think we are headed in a very dangerous direction.
I agree 100%. And I think part of the problem with this and changing it is when you have to go to someone and it's great if you want to create your own stuff, but if you want to do something like you want to go and make a really quality movie, like something really great, then you need to raise $50-100 million. There's very few places outside of the mainstream you can go to to get that made. And even if you do, then you've got to go through the mainstream to get it distributed, pretty much, because it's still all there. So, and again, it's the same thing with actors. It's like, even though white male actors are the number one box office draw, they just are. I mean, think about Ryan Reynolds, you know, all the Ryans, all the Chris's.
All the Chris's, yeah.
You know, so they're the main draws. But they don't want white male lead actors. So there is a real big opportunity to go and make movies with them, but then they cost a lot of money. Then you got to go and get the money to go and make them, which is more money, which independent people won't give to you. So there is that kind of roadblock to making the quality content that you're talking about, because you do have to still go through the system to get it.
Yeah.
You just
I think
do.
you're right, yeah. I'll tell you what also makes quality content.
Who's that, Dave?
The Blaze.
Oh, I knew it. I just wanted to say it out.
Yeah.
Blaze.
Yep.
Hey, they make our show.
Do they?
Produce this show. This right here.
Is that who pays for this?
Yeah. You don't know? You didn't? You just showed up?
No, I don't know where I am.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We do wheel you in.
Oh, that's true.
day.
Every day.
Yeah,
I
you're
have
always
a
napping.
Little mini stroke.
Yeah.
But with the elections coming up, I'm expecting things to get even crazier than they already are.
Gosh, they're so crazy right now.
And that was written for me, especially when it comes from freedom of speech. Look, all right, I like the Blaze. I don't have to go through this word of mumbo jumbo because they're honest on this.
Yeah.
You want to get people's honest takes, honest opinions, honest shows. Sarah, I enjoy her show a lot.
She's snappy.
I enjoy what she
Spicy.
does. You know, I could do without like two of them, like two of the shows, but most of them I liked.
You know.
Name them.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
That'd be messed up, you know, Alex Stein.
Yeah, it's not. No,
Looking
no.
at you, Alex.
We pretend to love him, and then we have. But if you go to BlazeTV.com and subscribe today, and you will get. Using promo code NORMAL, you will get 20% off your subscription. That's to Blaze TV, and off this fine merchandise you're seeing right in front of you,
Right there.
which also includes shirts, mugs, stuff that doesn't say Normal World, all sorts of things that are available to get. But my favorite is the gas station shirt. That's the one that I got.
Very
and
nice.
I love the jacket. And I do like the Marlboro shirt. I don't know if they still have it, but it looks like Blaze in an old Marlboro looking box.
Designs are really cool.
Yeah, they do a really good job. And look at that. That's even 10% off with the code BLAZE10. But why use that code?
When you can use our code.
On BlazeTV.com, if you use code NORMAL, you're going to get $20 off that.
$20.
$20.
Yeah,
Not
if this is
percent.
the subscription.
Dollars.
And
Yes.
then 10% off that.
Yes.
Okay, so there was no additional bonus.
No.
Well,
Those
the-
are two separate
yeah.
things.
There are two different things is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a great deal, but I don't want to confuse anybody.
Yeah.
You can get both, and
You
you're
should.
saving
And you should.
money. Yeah, do it. We're
And let
trying-
them know that you support us, because then that's how they know.
Amen. I want to talk about this because we were just talking about Michael Richards and, on stage certain antics, which I will say that I never agree with somebody coming up and punching someone on stage.
Oh.
Do we have a clip?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Estos los comentarios pedófilos que ha hecho de mi hijo, ¿eh? Dime a los comentarios de mi hijo, ¿eh? Basura, ahora, ¿eh? ¿Qué decías que iba a comer un negro? Mi hijo que iba a comer pollas, ¿eh? Con 3 meses, ¿eh? Basura, ¿ahora qué? Dímelo a la cara.
No, I don't understand what he's saying.
No, which is odd because this was shot in Wisconsin.
He was calling the guy garbage. Basura is garbage, and he was saying, you said that my son, my baby, would suck a,
You can say it.
suck a dick.
Yeah.
He's saying like, say it to my face. I'm here. And all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what he
Kinda
put out
justifying.
there. Yeah, derogatory terms saying that, his baby was probably gay and then used derogatory terms. So I actually now support punching him in the face.
Yeah, he kind of deserves that.
Yeah, I mean,
it was
I
on a
hate to-
photo on like Instagram, right? And the baby didn't, it had an emoji over the face, so it was just hey, I'm proud of my new baby boy.
Yeah, the baby wasn't heckling at Laugh Factory.
No.
Like, what did he do to deserve that, man? Is that they have some kind of pre-relationship? These two guys, like, do they know each other? They have beef?
I don't
just
think
a
so.
random guy
I think it's a random guy, and that's
Twitter.
the problem with a lot of the trolling is Alberto found out this guy was a comedian who's going to perform in Spain on June 4th. So he drove up from his town, which is a 6-hour drive, and showed up at the comedy show to kick his ass. And I mean,
Pretty,
honestly,
base right there. Honestly,
well, dude, that's like what Tyson said. So many people are used to talking shit online now. They're not used to getting punched in the mouth. And I think that kind of needs to change a little bit.
yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's like people say some really awful stuff to people's kids, to people's families. Eventually, it's like you do deserve that. I mean,
Not that we support violence. We just
No, I'm not
support,
supporting-
not going up and saying your baby can suck a D.
Well, you should.
Don't do
I
that.
think online you should behave the way you would in real life, right?
Absolutely.
That's it. So if you're not going to say, if you're willing to say something to someone online, all right, then you got to be ready for it. If it was in real life, you got to be able to defend yourself. But have you noticed though, people don't know how to throw a punch?
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't throw any punches either.
no,
He slapped.
it's it's
But
a movie
It was a
punch.
big old like.
a wide open.
Telegraphing it.
Instead of hitting like that straight out, like you should, while blocking yourself,
like-
they do big movie punches.
Like,
They come from Tokyo with it.
Yeah, it's all like from back here, and you're like, it's not, it's this.
in all the fights though you see, right? And all the fights you see on social media, they're all like and
the
they move
swing,
like that, and then they swing like it's like they're in an old Popeye cartoon.
Yeah.
you
I
know,
don't know
it's
what movies
very
they're
weird.
watching.
Oh, it's like every Waffle House or anything you see out in the parking lot where people are just, wide open swings, face wide open.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to defend yourself. If you're ever in a
arms
fight,
down.
make sure to keep
Like way
this. But you're right. I think it's because people watch so many movies, they assume that that's real tactics or so many TV shows. And it's like, that's for the camera.
Yeah.
Like to protect yourself in real life is pretty much just, cover the most important parts.
Yeah.
And keep your distance, like, don't be getting close.
Could you imagine though what it would have been like if the dad drove 6 hours and hit the guy, and the comedian knew how to fight?
Yeah.
And just beat the shit out of the dad, because that's always a risk, like when you're when you're going after somebody. And I'm a little torn because I'm a comedian, but also I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And there have been times when I've told jokes or put stuff out online, and people are like, "Oh, why don't you go say that to the family's face?" And I'm like, "Are they booking? Like, are they?" It's like I'm not going to their home and saying this awful thing, and I haven't done anything, at least that I can remember, as bad as that. With
Like
this guy.
that.
Yeah. No, well, that's so like directly at one person. Like
Yeah.
sometimes everybody's white knighting who they're coming at you about. This is going at like one guy. But yeah, that would suck if he showed up and just
And it was Joe Rogan.
and the comic
It was
just beats
just like
the
take
hell
you
out of
down
you.
in two.
And then,
I didn't know this guy was a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was a big mistake on my part.
and then after like doing a background check, you find out the baby's a real piece of shit.
You're like, dang, he was right. He was right.
Well, what's going to happen if the baby grows up and just turns out exactly like what this comedian said?
His first date is with a black man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This whole
We were
time
right the
he was
whole
a
time.
fortune teller.
Yeah, he's
Truth
like,
in comedy. Yeah.
it's like, I guess, I don't think you should ever be able to walk up on stage like that. But it's like at the same time, I do have that part of me where I'm like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
You know,
The dad.
there is that old element that you just don't see anymore, like you said, of fighting or anything, because it's all for show. People don't really do it anymore because it's always going to be recorded. So when you do watch a show, like even a fight, like if UFC or something, you notice how like it's not overdone. It's very tight. It's very, it's not this big overblown thing. So two people that used to know how to fight, like if I would go to a death match in Detroit and watch two people do like wrestling, they were still really wrestling, but it was like real fighting and blood. And like, I don't think you just don't see a lot of that anymore.
Yeah, and you don't see, and look, again, not promoting violence or anything like that, but it used to be when you were in school, if you were a dick, someone would come up and they'd clock you, they'd clean your clock, and you'd be like, maybe I shouldn't be a dick anymore. And then that's a lesson you learn in life. And you look around now and people are living in such bubbles, in such insulated situations, and they do stuff that is just completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, as comedians, and I did, let's say it like this, I avoided doing stand-up when I did my performing arts degree because I thought that it was the most terrifying thing in the world to do. So I have all the respect in the world for someone that can get up and do stand-up. But you've got to be able to go there. Like stand up, not there, but you know, you've got to be able to offend people. I mean, it's just part and parcel of it, right? You've got to be able to push the boundaries. I'm not saying distasteful like that, but that's comedy.
No, you should. And I mean, stuff that I put out, I know is going to offend people. I mean, not everybody's going to like you and like what you do, and that's part of it. And I mean, and if you want to care about what people think about a joke or how they're going to react to it or what you're going to put out there that's true to your own art, why do it?
Yeah.
You know, it's not my fault what you're offended by. And if you think about who's probably the least offensive comic that ever lived, like, or at least, you know, in modern time
Bill
comedy.
Cosby.
Bill Cosby. You have the exact 100% right answer. So it's like it takes almost this sociopathic darkness, you know, to be this perfect, clean, everybody loves them. You know, I'm much more comfortable with watching a dark comic or an honest comic, or, you know, you don't have to agree. And that's the part I don't get about comedy either. You don't have to agree with everything they say to find them funny. You can laugh at a distasteful joke. That's what a distasteful joke is. It's there for the purpose of laughter and nothing more. But I don't go up there, and people say, how do you deal with hecklers? It's like, well, yeah, that's part of it. You don't get upset about it. You just deal with it. I mean, that's the deal. I get to do this for a living, and sometimes there's going to be dicks in the crowd. I mean, well.
I always wonder, like, how do you think it's going to work out for you? Like, these are guys that are professionals at taking people down, and you're going to go up and you're going to try and, you know, come up against a mind that's like really, really sharp, you know, that knows how to come back, that has all these, you know, that has done it 1,000 times. And for me, I actually like feeling uncomfortable when I'm there. Like when you have a comedian that skewers you and highlights a part of who you are, and it's a reflection on yourself, right? You're like, oh man, like he's right. And that's funny. He's just exposed, you know, this area of my life that, you know, we could be doing better at, or, you know, you have criticism of. And I think that's absolutely fine. It's funny as hell to me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think creating discomfort is an important part of comedy, and that's why I like to embrace silence or laughs, because they're both instrumental to what you're trying to do in your show. I think when you have that tension and you have people look at something, I like to tell something sometimes that's so tasteless and just sit there and wait, because I know they want to, and I'm going to let them, you know, and that's enjoyable to me because everybody has a little bit of that in them. Like, how do you see it as a comedian?
Yeah, well, there was a show recently where I was performing from a very liberal crowd, and it was great to be able to do material that one would think would be offensive, from my take of it, But I was doing really well. It was it was great. I had a bunch of people come up to me afterwards, and then of course there was this one cliche, stereotypical old liberal who came up to me and said, you could have hit Trump harder. It's like, really? Yeah, I could have hit him harder. How? Give me some jokes. What should I talk about? Well, the trial, and he paid, a porn star. It's like, awesome setups, man. I haven't heard any of these before. And eventually,
not since Kimmel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I got notes. I got notes here.
And I was, being nice and listening to him. And eventually, I said to him, the reality is that sometimes there were people in the audience who want the comedian to say what's in their heads, and I'm just not interested in that. And that's not our job. I mean, you can't. There's a reason why we're up there doing what we're trying to do.
Right. Yeah, and it's odd when they think you should be even doing something like that. And even with the Trump thing, it's like, okay, look, I can't think of anything really much more hacky at this point, because you guys did it before he was elected, through his presidency, and now through Biden's presidency. Yeah. When it used to be about you punch up to whoever's in power. Like we were talking about Dennis Miller earlier. He made jokes about, Reagan and Bush, even though he's conservative, but he made fun of who was in power. That was the idea. That somehow has gone out the window completely. Yeah. And it's just all about agenda as opposed to making fun of everything and everybody.
Well, like this right here, he's punching so far down, he's punching a little baby.
That's what I hate. It's like, why are you going online and attacking a baby?
Yeah, online,
It's pathetic.
Yeah, like you need to punch up. That's just so weird.
That's just not even a version of comedy that I can understand.
It's weird behavior. There's so many people, like you were bringing up earlier, it's like they just behave so strangely. and so out of pocket all the time. It's like, guys, can we go, like, literally go outside, touch that grass, because you got to, because that's not how you operate when you're face to face with somebody.
Well, it's because any dipshit can call themselves a comic. They just have to go to one open mic night, and then any lunatic like that who has God knows whatever mental illness is like, I'm a comedian. I qualify for it now because I talked for 2 minutes on a stage.
Yep.
It's the most stolen valor job I've ever seen in my life, besides the military.
We should do that. We should do a video on that, Stolen Valor
It's
Comedian
true.
Edition.
Sit through any open mic at, I mean, not necessarily at like an A+ room, but if you go to like a B room and sit there and watch the people that go up on stage, dude, it's insanity. Like, just people dressed as Jesus. I'm not exaggerating. It's insanity.
They should do an American Idol for comics.
Well,
They do that?
They did. They did one Last Comic Standing that I was on. Yeah. And
That's
that
right. You
one-
were on that.
I was on that show.
Oh, really?
You didn't
Yeah.
just murder the entire
Yeah.
thing?
What's that?
You murdered that, right?
I did well. Yeah. I was a little too edgy towards the end. Who knew? But yeah, I did very well. They actually put my whole first set out on the first episode, which included a kidnapping joke, an arrest joke about a prostitute. So I was really happy to see that stuff air on NBC at 9 p.m.
Yeah, that's your first stuff too.
Yeah,
on
for
the
like a
show.
solid 5. But Keenan Ivory Wayans was a judge, so that helped too because he's irreverent, and that's the kind of comedy that I incidentally do. But I grew up watching him and loving him, so there's a connection there where people get it. It's like the network itself. At the time, they were kind of getting into the new let's fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Could they do it now? Could they put that show out now?
I don't think so. I think they could try, but I don't think it's ready yet because comedy's been so bastardized into like where even doing a 5-minute set. I haven't seen like a late night set, but I mean, Mike Vecchione's an exception. He's brilliant. He's great at short sets, but I haven't seen a lot that are just mind blowing in a very long time on like a Tonight Show or something.
Well, I wonder too. I mean, how many years in were you before you went on that?
Well, I was on the first couple seasons, but it was those rig seasons where they brought you in for tough competition, and then I was 10 years in when I advanced.
Yeah. So I think now with especially with a lot of comedians starting out on TikTok, on social media, and then using that as a way to get up on stage, I think you just have like a lot of comedians that just don't have the hours in to be able to do that. So the guys that would do excellent on those shows, Rich Voss who was on
Brilliant.
It's like 30 years behind him, 20 years behind them. So to get the talent, you might not have like the demographics. Like they want like a great 21-year-old who can do who has 5 different 5-minute sets. It's probably going to be difficult to find that.
It is, and like a lot of times you just see comics showing up with a lapel mic getting ready to talk to the audience and they haven't prepared anything, and that kind of sucks. And it's like, I'll talk to the crowd, and if I end up getting a good clip out of it, sure. But that's incidental.
Yeah.
There's people that are just showing up to get that 1 minute, that 30 seconds, that whatever, so they can get some kind of element of fame. But it's never been more fleeting than it is now. Because if you get that giant TikTok bump, I know people that have sold out clubs, I mean, besides me for a year, and then it drops. But then, no, it's like you have these people that are like, they're TikTok, they have this huge following. People see them once, the niche is kind of gone, or whatever, the sparkle.
A little fad.
It's like you asked me what I did for work last time.
Right. Like, it's just they don't care anymore because they cared more about the app than they did the performer, and there was no human connection.
Right.
And I think that's what I love about comedy is when you're watching somebody for an hour and you're going, oh, I like this journey they're bringing me on. I think that's when you get to experience comedy at its best, not at its quickest in the matter of like 3 to 5 minute sets.
Do you think that it's sustainable, comedy as a business itself? Like, are there enough comedians that have the original drive to stand on stage and do it, and not just be a TikTok comedian? Because, like you're saying, it's a very different thing altogether. So, do you think that your style kind of?
I hope some
put
do
in those hours.
I hope some do. I mean, a lot of people I know will have to tour in a group. They don't have the time. They don't have the ability to do that, and they don't really have I was on the road. I hit the road. That's what I thought you were supposed to do. So I was 20 years old. sleeping in terrible hotels and in my car and going to everywhere from Alabama to, wherever it was. Like, I thought that was the deal, was you had to learn how to do it. And I'm glad I did. It was all trial under fire, but
See, I love that. To me, that's like doing repertory theater and like cutting your teeth, right? So, are you familiar with Billy Connolly?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So a friend of mine worked with Billy Connolly, and he did a short tour in the UK, and he did a different set every single night.
Wow.
And my buddy said, I watched it because he was there, and he'd say, you just go out and just be completely different. Every like maybe a couple of jokes in there that were similar, but he would just and feed off the audience. And I think that, what is it like for you guys when you look at a comedian? Because I can look at actors, right? I look at actors and I'm like, they're saying they're really good, and I'm like, I could do that. I could. And then there are others like Daniel Day-Lewis where I go, I can't do that. Like, you're so otherworldly. Who would you say for you would look at and say they are just incredible, like on another level, if there is that? And if so, what is that? What element about them would it be how fast they are, how quick their brains go, their breadth of comedy? What would you say?
I off the top of my head, there's a few. There's Eddie Murphy, obviously. In the younger days, we all adored him because he just had this ability that people didn't have to make you connect with his stories of youth, adolescence. That was somebody who I just think it's very hard to ever have anybody hold a candle to. But more in a modern take, I would say Ricky Gervais, because he's ruthless, he's relentless, but he has heart. And even the shows that he puts out, like the season he did where his wife had died of cancer and he was miserable. And it's like, he doesn't have faith necessarily, he doesn't believe in God or anything, but he believes in the goodness of people. And he puts these shows together that actually show people that have heart and like soul. And it's an incredible thing to me, the way that he operates and the way that his brain works, because he still believes in this like element of good. Yeah. And he still has the balls to go up in front of an entire room of Hollywood celebrities.
Oh, it's the greatest.
Tell them they're demonic.
So good.
And it's like, I do think he operates on a different level, because I don't know if I've ever seen a performer do what he does through his particular angle.
Yeah, I originally thought of Eddie Murphy, and was thinking about Eddie Murphy when he was doing stand up would often say, "Oh, he's just ripping off Richard Pryor," right? Yeah. That's what people would say. But you look at Eddie Murphy, for one, what people forget is how young he was, and and he wasn't just like a stand up comic; he was a rock star.
Yes,
like it was just like another level, and his ability to connect was just incredible. Well, for me, on the same token, like I absolutely love Richard Pryor, because I think I'm also a big George Carlin fan, but I feel like where George Carlin is a lot more of kind of like almost like an essayist in a way, Richard Pryor is very much about opening up who he is completely, and as messed up as it is, and he's able to make it hilarious. And I think it's a testament too, where where bits stand up 50 years later. Like they're
still relatable.
So there's Richard Pryor talking about boxing. Like it's from like 40 or 50 years ago. It is still one of the funniest bits I've ever heard in my life.
And even lighting himself on fire and being that vulnerable and talking about, instead of crack, I was going to have some milk and cookies, and when I dipped the cookie into the milk, and it's just the way that he made it all work. And he did it a lot without the education of being able to really, not saying read or write or anything, but this was a man who was raised in a brothel by a grandmother.
I was going to say, where does that come from? Because you both spoken about the ability to connect.
I think it just comes from, if you're honest about anything in life, there's an element of love, pain. It really is that. That really is that bit of comedy, where that bit of time, that passes, that makes something that you can laugh at. And I think when you're honest and you're being vulnerable and you're being sincere with an audience, even if it's telling a tasteless joke that you do think is funny, I think that's where people connect on every level to you, because they just go, "Oh, I relate to it because I like this, you know?
It's being real.
And
Yeah.
I'm getting flashed by our producers. So
What?
put those away.
I missed that. Dang it.
But yes, we'll be back
That's awesome.
tomorrow. Again, where can we find you, sir? Lou Perez?
Go to thelouperez.com and follow me at thelouperez everywhere. And please get my book.
Get this book.
Garrett's holding it with his beautiful hands.
Look at that.
That's what I
And model.
tell me.
And Matthew Marsden, always great to have you on. Where can we find you?
You can get me at MatthewMarsden.com and Matthew D. Marsden on the Twitters and the Instagrams.
There you
go. Good follow.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.